Specifics of step 1, 2, 3, but why and what are most important elements. Building a network, which is what LinkedIn is all about. Communicating with other profiles, joining groups, job alerts, follows, referrals and recommendations, and they are separate and different, alerts, searching LinkedIn, and likes and shares. Also, if you're not already connected with me on LinkedIn, please do. It is about who you know and connections. So if there's someone that I'm connected to that can be of benefit to you, I'd love to be able to introduce them. So for anyone who's been around at any length of time, you may know what this device is. This is a Rolodex. And when I got started in the industry, this is how we kept up with all of our contacts. Whether we stapled a business card on those little pieces of paper or we wrote it down, it was our quick reference guide to our clients, our vendors, our coworkers, and things have evolved and changed. What the Rolodex was in the 80s, in the 90s, we developed our PDAs and we had software tools like ACT and Goldmine, which gave us the quick references in a digital format. And LinkedIn has become the modern day Rolodex, if you will, of how to keep up with your connections, your vendors, your clients in one stop. So LinkedIn launched in May of 2003. It is currently available in 24 languages. Its headquarters in Sunnyvale, California. Their area serviced is 675 million members worldwide. Their founders are listed here, the current chairman and CEO. And this is the thing I think in 2019 that's most important. Their revenue was 6.8 billion with a B. They currently, and this was of March 2019, so after pandemic, these numbers may fluctuate, but they had over 15,000 employees worldwide in 2019. Their parent company is Microsoft. Microsoft purchased them, and we'll see what happens with TikTok. But in 2016, they purchased LinkedIn for $26.4 billion. Yes, they did quite well for a firm that was only 13 years old at the time. Their subsidiaries include SlideShare and lynda.com. Anyone who's done any online certification or classes will be familiar with lynda.com and some of the other brands they've developed. Website is listed here. You do have to register to be a member or have a profile on LinkedIn. You can't opt out of registration. It's mainly used for networking, including employers posting jobs, but most of their revenue comes from selling access to our information. That's the reason for registration. So for members, for recruiters, and sales professionals. So why LinkedIn? First and foremost, it's all about creating your personal brand, your profile, your business persona. It is not for talking about the wedding anniversaries and the babies and the opportunities to go meet for a barbecue. That's not what LinkedIn is for. It is about your personal business brand. And with conjunction of your personal brand comes the company brand. So the company you work for, their brand isn't entailing all of their employees. So everyone who works for that company makes up the overall corporate brand. It's also used for marketing. We'll look at some statistics in a few minutes on some of that. And in my world, LinkedIn is also for job search and comparison to see how you look to other firms doing the same job. So in building a profile, and these are, again, one thing I always say at the beginning, which I forgot, was these opinions are mine. I've been using this tool for about 14 years. They're subjective, but again, there's a value to some of these tips and tricks, but it is my opinion. I don't work for LinkedIn. I'm not compensated by Microsoft. I'm giving you information as an employer and a vendor and a recruiter. So matching your resume for me is absolutely critical. And when I say matching your profile to your resume, that means I need to see tenures and titles that align. If I see a resume that it comes to me and you're telling me you were the vice president of marketing, and I go to your LinkedIn profile and I see for the same tenure, same company, senior manager, we have a problem. You don't want to misrepresent, and you want to make sure those times are consistent. So it's a simple thing to do, but it's so important. It's also important to incorporate contact information. When LinkedIn first started, a lot of people were nervous about it, and they didn't want everyone to see behind the curtain and who they know and what they're doing. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I'll show you some tips a little bit later. If you have a problem, which there are people right now, especially, there's a ton of salespeople trolling on LinkedIn, trying to sell you more insurance or financial investments or just sell you a widget out of China. It's all out there. But I think it's important to have that information. You can always turn it off or block someone, but in the one rare chance that you've got a new client coming to you with $1 million retainer, you do not want to miss the opportunity. So make sure your contact information is there. And for me, it's, again, wide open. I've got my personal email, my work email, my cell, and all of the links to my company information. Again, for me, I'm a recruiter. This is the world I live in. You do need to incorporate your social links. LinkedIn incorporated a Twitter feed I think about 8-9 years ago. It's automatic. It's a simple thing to do. So it's a great way to increase your reach online. Also, as a creative or as a business development or account executive, you should incorporate portfolio or case study samples. They give you free space. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. I recommend about 5 to 10. You want to constantly update and change those, but it's free space. And again, we're talking about your personal brand and your company brand. Use it. And the other thing is, you don't need to just create a profile and never visit it, never monitor it, and never share or like a comment, because you're not playing the game, and the game is critical. It's like going to the beach and never dipping your toe into the water. You've got to participate to get the value out of it. So in building a network, that is kind of the step one. First, get your profile up, and then you need to connect. So in connecting, it can be alumni from your university if you're just starting out. It can be coworkers, current and past that you've worked with. You want to maintain those relationships. Associations like AAF or AMA, PRSA, IABC, your community contacts, and that can be religious, civic, nonprofit, philanthropy, as well as people that you want to know. I will say that's the key comment. It's people that you want to connect with and you see a value, whether it's reach or they get to see more about you. That's really the key deciding factor. I will tell you, when I'm connecting with people, I accept about 75% of all those who reach out. And there's no absolute to that answer. I will tell you, when it's a student, I have a passion for students, so I will accept all of them because all of us have to get a foot in the door and start. So I share my current database, which is well over 10,000 connections, with all students, because if I can help them land that job, I'm happy to do that, even though I don't place those professionals. I also say there are certain people you don't want to connect with. So if there is a negative personality, and that could be from a political or just a mean-spirited person who's always bashing things online, LinkedIn's pretty good about restricting that comment, much more than Twitter or Facebook, but they get on there. So you don't want to connect with those. It is the circles you keep, so be careful about that. I also have learned through the years, if there's someone, except for students, who's been on LinkedIn for a while and they have less than 200 connections, I don't connect with them. And the biggest reason is, one, they're not playing the game, and two, there's also a lot of fake profiles that are out there, and that's kind of a key indicator. If they have a high visibility role and they've never connected with anyone, or are not currently connecting and they have less, it's usually a fake profile, or they just created the profile and walked away and never came back. For spammers or fake profiles, for them, it takes a lot of energy to connect with 200 people, so they typically don't go that far. They'll just create it quick and make it look like it's legit. So for me, that's an indicator. I also, if someone does not show their location, I do not connect. There's no perceived value. If I don't know the region or market where they're at and how I'd be able to help them or they can help me, we're kind of fumbling around in the dark, and I'd rather not. Also, if someone has an international market that I do not do business, and we do place people internationally, but for instance, I had someone who sent me an invite who said they were a recruiter for Amazon. They were based in China. They'd been with Amazon for 3 years and they had 12 connections. I did not connect with that person. And two reasons. One, any recruiter worth their salt is going to have quite a few connections, or they don't know how to recruit. The other is a major brand like Amazon. I promise you, you come out of the gate with about 500 just getting started. So it was a fake profile. I did not connect. So when you're communicating with other members, you can do it through direct messaging. Once you're connected, you can message them. As well as an email when you're starting, and there are certain premium accounts and free accounts. And I will tell you, I've been a member again about 14 years. I do not have a paid subscription. I do not have a premium subscription. The analytics and the metrics for LinkedIn, the more connections you have, the more perks they give you. So at the level I'm at right now, I can pretty much reach out to anyone to connect without having to create an email, and I get their email. So again, the more you play the game, the better the benefits and the perks. So writing and sharing articles, we've all seen the news feeds, and as the updates come through, you can write your original content, you can share something you've already done, or you can just share something that you liked that someone else wrote, put a little note on it, and then move it on. And that's a great way for visibility. It is all about the numbers in LinkedIn. The more activity, the more visibility, the better the return, as well as the more perks. LinkedIn wants you to participate, so they will reward you for it. Replying to others. If someone reaches out to you, whether it's an invite to connect, or if it's there's a lot of really topical articles running. In fact, that's my first thing when I'm drinking coffee in the morning, is I'm going to see which of my contacts have something to talk about, whether it's a job post or maybe something exciting for their firm. Purdue Farms is a client that is celebrating their 100-year anniversary this year. So I like keeping up and sharing and really pushing out all of their updates throughout the year. Commenting on articles, whether you agree or not. Again, you want to keep it politically correct because you can get blackballed by your connections, as well as LinkedIn if you go off the rails. But commenting and sharing and encouraging, that's how it works. Joining groups is probably one of the easiest ways to build your network on LinkedIn. We talked about earlier associations or your community job skills. You can do searches on groups on LinkedIn, whether it be if you're a copywriter, there's probably close to 400 copywriter groups that are regional. They're by a particular skill set. Maybe it's long copy, or maybe it's fundraising, or maybe it's online digital content, multiple ways of connecting. And again, nothing to lose, everything to gain. Once you're a part of that group, you can send direct messages without going through the whole contact process to any member in that group. And you can also search the membership database, which is extremely valuable, whether you're recruiting a candidate or a new hire, or maybe you're looking for a client to connect with. See where your clients are, follow them, join their groups, and then you're in the mix. If it's a prospect, you can reach out to them directly. And people like to know that you're aware and observing what they're doing. And it also creates an opportunity to participate in the conversation before they are that hire or the new client. Job alerts and follows. And if you are looking for work or you're looking to hire someone, you can target specific jobs and companies, and you can look for other jobs in other markets. If you happen to be relocating to a new city, you can see how your current job skills compare salary-wise. Or maybe you don't know. Maybe you're 3 years in, you have an opportunity to move to a new market, and you want to test certain markets to see what the cost of living and what the income potential is. You can do all of that through LinkedIn. It's a great tool, great artificial intelligence, and a lot of analytics that can benefit all of us. It's also a great tool for targeting new hires. Maybe you had to downsize some of your team, and you know at some point, if they're not available to hire back, you're going to need to find people with those skills. You can start targeting them now. You may not be able to hire until January, but you can target, you can become a part of that group of those copywriters that you know you're going to need. Or maybe you just want a new piece of business and you're not sure yet exactly what you need. Go to individuals in that industry segment and join that group and target those individuals who are movers and shakers in that industry. You can also follow those individuals once you find them. Maybe there's someone who's about 3 years in a current company and you have some common threads, whether it's your university, or maybe you have some first degree connections that are good friends, or maybe it's someone you look to for mentorship. Maybe it's a leader in AAF, or maybe it's a leader in a corporation. You can follow them without connecting with them and get all of the news feed and alerts on what they're talking about. It's a simple thing to do. It doesn't cost you a dime, but the benefit is you can see things. It's like your own private news feed that's specific and relevant for you. You can also follow those companies, and I follow all of my clients as well as targets, companies that I want to work for or work with. I also follow their competitors, because the more I know what's going on with their competition, whether they're laying off or they just want a piece of business, the more relative I can be as a partner to my customers. So again, simple thing to do, but the information can be extremely valuable. There's going to be a lot of mergers and acquisitions coming up in the next 12 to 18 months. You can count on it. I've been through these ups and downs before, not quite to this level, but mergers and acquisitions do happen. You want to stay ahead of the game, so that if you are an employee for that company, you want to know who's going to come out on top so that you have the ability to retain your job. And if it isn't something where your firm is the bigger fish that's being gobbled up, you want to make sure you have all the information so you can make the best choices for your career and your job. Recommendations and endorsements are exactly two different things. LinkedIn created the endorsement tool, maybe 10 years ago. And the benefit of endorsements, if there's a particular skill or trait that you have, you can list it as one of the things that you want to be known for. Other people can do that as well. For instance, for me, employment and recruiting, business development, advertising, those are some of the endorsements I have. Truthfully, it's like a keyword or a hashtag. The more you have, the higher you rank when someone's targeting or searching on those skills. But as far as does it qualify to say, yes, you really are, or you really stink at this? No, it doesn't. It's very subjective, but it's more about those key search terms that improve your visibility in a search or ranking on a page. I don't accept all endorsements. I've had many people in all the best intentions send me endorsements for accounting. I'm not an accountant. Can I manage a P&L and can I run a profitable business? Absolutely. Do I want other people calling me for those skills? No, I do not. So you manage that, but I think it's important that it's your, again, your personal brand, and you want to make sure it's accurate. Recommendations for me are much more important. Recommendations are business references, and they're also personal references. They need to be specific. Those recommendations on LinkedIn will live with your profile and evolve. And what I mean by evolve is that person, for instance, someone who is an intern for me in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which you'll see his recommendation here in a little bit. Great guy. I met him at an AAF event. Surprise, surprise. I hired him on the spot because I liked his energy and his charisma. He interned for me for about a year, year and a half. I hired him full-time afterwards. He has since gone on in the digital landscape and worked for some very strong brands. Every time he gets a raise or an increase or his title changes or even moves companies, he's still connected to my profile as my intern. But you can see the evolution in his career as he goes through. That's great for me. Same thing with people I've placed, maybe as a director of communications that are now the CMO. That evolution and that relationship is maintained. That's why I'm saying it's so critical, because it's tangible. It's got its meat to it. And so that really matters. When someone is writing a recommendation for you, or you're writing a recommendation for someone else, you want to make sure it's specific. So the simple, we worked together, they were awesome, that's not good enough. You want to have tangible facts. Did they bring in new business? Did they increase the overall profits of the company? Were they someone who grew the team or someone you trusted? You want to use very specific language. That's the benefit for them, it's the benefit for you. LinkedIn will allow you, if someone writes a recommendation for you, you can preview it before it goes live so you don't have those surprises. You can also offer back to edit a couple of things to the individual if they don't have it all quite accurate. And in the same thing, just because someone asks you for a recommendation, it's not a tit for tat thing. You really want to use that very carefully, as I mentioned, because it lives during the duration, whether you've written for someone else or they've written it for you, it stays with your profile. So be very purposeful on that. But will it open doors for future clients? Absolutely. Will it open doors if you're a manager and your team are talking about you're the best person to work for? Absolutely. Those are valuable. So make sure you use that carefully, but also there's a lot of bang for it. Much better than any letter of reference I've ever received. A LinkedIn profile, all recruiters, all hires will go there first. They'll not only see who you're connected to that they know, but they also look to see what have you done, and that's exactly where they're going to go. Alerts, searching, likes and shares. Again, these are all very simple things that are built into the algorithms on LinkedIn. Alerts can be scheduled daily, weekly. That could be a job alert. That could be a company update alert. There's a variety of ways you can trigger notifications. You determine how they come to you, whether it's via email or if it's in your news feed. It's very powerful. Searching, you can get very specific by geographic, by industry, by company name, as well as you can look to your clients and you can target competitive analysis on all other companies geographically that are like your favorite client. And vice versa, a client you may not want to work with, or maybe you've had one a little too long, you're ready to move on, find out who's out there that's similar that you can use that history and relationship to benefit you and your business. Likes and shares are probably two of the easiest things to do. It's the little, the thumbs up or sharing an article. If you do share, you can just share it without a comment. I strongly encourage you to add at least 1 or 2 words of why someone needs to look at it, because keep in mind, those shares are going to your connections. They're seeing, why are you sharing this information with me? Why should it matter? Liking is someone could be following you and seeing that like. and ultimately make a decision about they want to connect with you. So again, simple things to do. It's a simple click or a couple of words, but it improves your ranking. And that's really what's so important, because LinkedIn, not only it's the matter of how many people you know, but it's also the quality of people you know can truly improve your business as well as their business. So here are some of the numbers and some graphs that I wanted to share with you. So on a worldwide map, 675 million in 200 countries. You can see the United States is about 167 million. So relatively speaking, it looks like a smaller number, but most of the revenue generated comes from the United States. This is a graph that's a little bit older, but this was done by JobVite a few years ago. These numbers are still true. In fact, in light of today's pandemic, they're probably even more true. From a social media, when it's a recruitment tool, and this is recruiters and hiring authorities, where do they go to find talent? It is 94% of them, and maybe I think 95, 96, will go to LinkedIn first. It's used for business, personal brand, as well as who you know that they know. Facebook, you may think it doesn't matter, but again, we all look at that. It gives us a cultural idea of who you are as an individual, what are things important to you. Very seldom will I not hire someone based on a Facebook profile, but if I see something, we talked about negative personalities, whether it's addiction issues or just an extremist mindset, it will be a knockout factor. But since we're talking about LinkedIn, LinkedIn is the most important, and this is where most people go. LinkedIn is also used for social networking for lead generation. 10 years ago, there weren't a lot of dollars allocated to social media. What's relevant in this is the visits to lead conversions, and that's the key term there. So when you use social media for lead generation, and this specifically is B2B and B2C, a 2.7% conversion on LinkedIn, and it's a much better return on your dollars for social media when it's lead generation for B2B or B2C. This is also for B2B, specifically marketing, and this is your digital marketing mix on how, from a company standpoint, how they choose to allocate their dollars. 92% say LinkedIn is where they go. And again, Twitter, no surprise there, and Facebook, but it's really, and this is from the Omnicore agency diagram that I pulled this data. So this is just a quick capture of my page, and this is a presentation I created back in, gosh, this was March, I guess, when we first started all the pandemic presentations. You're going to see an individual profile, just some basic information, the about section. You'll also see in the featured areas, there's several articles I've already updated and changed. Our brand changed, so I have updated some of the graphics there. The upper right is the promoted section, where we're talking specifically about, you know, all sorts of ways that LinkedIn can generate revenue, whether it's universities, ongoing education, or consulting. And then some of the other people who people looking at my profile are also targeting. You can edit and change, and I strongly encourage, like that banner graphic behind my head there. I just updated that to, I'm missing New York right now, so I put my New York skyline from my apartment view to kind of remind me and give me a little bit of touch of New York until I can get back up there. You can also see in the feed or the activity section, Chaloner, our firm, we posted a couple of pulse surveys to kind of get a read from individuals looking for work or companies on what they were seeing, and you can share that data. That's really relevant. And again, you don't have to pay money for all of that. That's things you can do at any time, and then you get that really solid feedback on what they think and what they saw in that question. You also run the risk of getting a few angry people who may not, so be careful how you word your questions, but it's still more important to get that data. You can see some of the influencers and interest people that I follow or companies that I follow. And again, this is in, when I open my page and go to home, this is what I see right out of the gate. You can manage, and again, you can see in March I had 9,802. I have 10,330, I think, today. So it's all about building that number, building those connections, and it's people reaching out and you reaching out to them. You never stop that process. That's the real value of LinkedIn. But you can change any of these parameters at any time. If I have someone I've connected to, it's like, oh my God, what was I thinking? You can unfollow and disconnect from them at any time. You can limit the amount of exposure or amount of feeds. Maybe you want to keep them, but you want to hide certain elements. LinkedIn has really expanded the flexibility. Used to, it was either on or off, and you were limited to 50 groups. Those doors are wide open. And I think part of it's the more connections you have, the more reach you have, but you have control of that. I'm a big believer, if you're going to participate, whether it's going to an AAF networking event, you want to shake as many, well, when we could shake hands, when you could hug people, you want to be as active and visible as possible, because otherwise, what are you doing? What are you there for? But LinkedIn, you can change any of that at a given time. You can change to just your work email, your personal email, and limit the amount of visibility that you get. Your emails, how you choose to receive that. You can choose, I want anyone who reaches out can try to connect with me. Doesn't mean I connect with everyone. But again, for me, it's wide open. You also get great measurements and analytics. And all of these data points are measurable. And you have, when your profile free or premium, you can see all these details. Premium, you can do a few more capabilities and enhancements. For me, it wasn't worth paying the extra personally. And again, they'll probably want me saying that. But you can see on that one diagram on March 20th, there were two things that happened with that 56% increase. One, my birthday happened to be March 19th, so I got a lot of happy birthdays, but it was also the orders of being shelter in place went out. So I had a lot of people reaching out saying, oh my God, what's going on? The world, sky's falling. So that explained the increase on that particular date. You can also see some of the people who were looking at my profile, whether it be with a corporation, the individual companies, and then the individuals themselves. This is when you create a job alert. This is where you go. You'll click to the jobs. You can actually create job alerts that you've already created. LinkedIn will allow you to tag and keep so many on your file, and then they require you to update or change or delete one of them. But you can search by a region, you can search by a company. You know, one of the clients that I've worked with in the Milwaukee area is Johnson Outdoors. So if I wanted to look at other sports corporations where they do recreational materials, I can search by keywords of recreational corporations in the Nebraska area or in the Milwaukee area, whatever, or Chicago. And then LinkedIn is automatically created based on my activity, certain terms they think I might be looking for. Part of that artificial intelligence. Doesn't mean it's always right, but it'll give you 2 steps ahead. And then also companies that I may be targeting, whether it be sports marketing or beer and beverage brands, or maybe it's part of a larger group. So all of this they'll pull together based on my activity, who I'm connected to, and the intelligence is pretty good. It's not perfect, but that's where you step in and you do the edits and the updates. Followers and following. And again, I am following people, so that 0 number is not accurate. It reflects the numbers when you click on the tab. So right now I have, as of March, I had over 9,700 followers who may or may not be connected. You can see people I'm following back as well. So, and again, this is kind of like, in simplest terms, it's kind of like a dating game where I think you're cute, you think I'm cute. Where are we going with this? In business world, it's a matter of there's something that you provide that I think is valuable, whether it's a skill set, or maybe you're connected with my clients, and if my client likes you, therefore I need to know who you are. One of them just happens to be my concierge at my apartment in New York. He does a great job, and I'm trying to help him land his next job when he goes to the next step. So this is a simple thing, doesn't cost you anything, but the benefit is it gives you relevant data in your updates in your feed. These are just a few of the endorsements, and we talked about it earlier, where LinkedIn will track up to 99 for anyone to view that if 99 is about, if you've got 99, people think you're really good at that. Doesn't mean you're not or you are, it's just that's the perception. And then you'll also see some of those individual names. You can also do a skill set quiz that will give kind of a qualified or quantifiable assessment of your skills. I didn't do that. For me, it's all about, again, it's like hashtags and keywords. It's about the ranking, and right now my connections give me better ranking than anything else. This is the recommendations, and Mark Batista was the one I was referring to, that he did a recommendation for me, and I did do one for him. Again, it's not always tit for tat, but in this case, he was starting out his career. I wanted him to thrive. He is currently with P&G Digital Agency doing a great job. Damien was a former executive and client in the Houston area that's now in Seattle. And then Brett was my boss for many years. I actually placed him, and I reminded him after I went to work for him, you remember that extra, 15 grand you didn't expect in your base salary that Larry got you, to keep me in mind when bonus rolls around. So use these tools. And again, I've been doing this a long time. I have maybe a few more recommendations now, but I've received 17, I've given 32. Again, this isn't thousands and thousands. You want to use them sparingly and make them count. So that's the general information. I know I went through that relatively quick, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And again, connect with me on LinkedIn. I normally do a live demo to show you some of these tips and where to find them. So if you specifically want to reach out and go through some of these exercises, just shoot me a note via LinkedIn. I'm happy to schedule a time.
Thank you so much, Larry. I do have a couple questions for you from the chat. So let's go through that. Terry mentioned, everyone, please join AAF Omaha's LinkedIn group, or American Advertising Federation Omaha. Should you use your personal email or your business email address?
You can use both. And I think you should use both. I will tell you, my LinkedIn was created so long ago, and I've had multiple jobs over 13. That sounds really bad. I've had maybe 3 jobs in 13 years, but my personal email is still my lbrantley@yahoo.com. I was one of those few individuals who got started that could get my name, first initial, last name. So I haven't changed it. So that's my primary, but you can connect with me through my work email or my personal email. So I encourage use both. Your personal is kind of like your anchor email, but for business, I want them to reach out to me through my work email.
Great. And then just some good feedback, great information. On joining groups, is there a limited number of groups a person can join?
I don't believe there is a limit anymore. Like I mentioned, it used to be restricted to 50. And what I found is I would interchange when I had a limited number to work with. If I didn't see activity, for instance, some of the positions I place, if I'm targeting a biotech healthcare client, pharmaceutical is a very weird world, and it's very small. That didn't sound right as I said it, but I would join those groups if there were significant numbers for me to target candidates or clients. But if I'm not working a pharma search and I was limited, I would pull that one off. I could always pull it back on later, but it's just you move around. Now I think it's unlimited. So quite honestly, when you're selecting a group, make sure it's relevant for you at this point in time in your career, whether it's a skill set or a geographic client, a geographic need, but quantify it all the time. Ask, what's my return? Go back through your groups occasionally and look at them. And if you haven't participated or shared, or you're not seeing any feedback, roll it off. Because other people see your groups as well, and that's really relevant.
Great, great. And then someone said great stuff. They had to jump off. And let's see here. One more here. Oh, will you be going over how the business advisor's advising role area works? Sorry.
Are you talking about the LinkedIn sell-in capabilities?
It says, will you be going over how the business advising role works?
I'm not quite sure I understand that question. LinkedIn has a lot of, like so many of us out there, BizDev is a big part of the tool. So they have a whole group that they do outreach with individual companies, and your corporate page should link to the individuals. There are some premiums. Again, I don't work for LinkedIn, so I don't really get into those specifics. I'm happy to share with anyone on a BizDev tools and how to use LinkedIn for that. They can just reach out to me directly, and I'll do a quick tutorial for them.
Okay. Yeah, I guess there's a business advisory area on LinkedIn.
There is, and that's a premium section. They charge
That's a
you.
premium section. Okay, got ya. Okay. That's a premium section. Thanks, Jan. One more question. I gotta go back and find it. While engagement and activity is critical, do you have any knowledge on how that is weighted? I know it isn't advised to just like something.
It's all about the activity and the reach. I will tell you, there were certain thresholds that I noticed tremendous change. So for instance, for me, after I crossed 500, for anyone who's playing by the rules, that's kind of like a baseline for me, except for students. A professional, I look for a minimum of 500 connections. When I crossed 1,500, I got more connections that were free. So I could reach out to Bill Gates and get a direct message to him without having to pay, or get if you have a lower number of connections, they will block you from certain people on the web. You cannot connect on LinkedIn. The higher the number, suddenly the gates are open and I can reach out to just about anyone. So it's all about your activity, it's your connections, it's all the algorithms. And again, I don't work for LinkedIn, so I can't tell you exactly what they are today. One of the things I do in a live demo now, when I'm going through my news feed or the updates, if I see an article I like and I see someone's a second level connection, I just hover over their name now and I get an option to connect with them immediately from my news feed, which saves me a ton of time. So that's one of the ways I build my network, is I'm not having to work as hard to connect. But the more activity you have, the more likes and shares, as well as the number of connections, LinkedIn will open more doors. I'm just not sure at what are the thresholds. I will say once I cross 5,000, I pretty much can do whatever. And 10,000, I'm still figuring out what's the new toys that I got, because that's relatively new in the last 3 months.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Those are all the questions I have. Please note, everyone, Larry's email is there below, and also connect on LinkedIn as well. And he can answer any follow-up questions you have. Larry, anything else?
I just want to thank you all for your time. It's a pleasure. I did tell Terry earlier, I have a second part in this series of where this is expanding your LinkedIn. The next one is becoming the ideal next hire. So if there's an interest there, reach back to Terry and the team, and we're happy to get that scheduled on how you can make sure you land that next job.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Just want to quickly let you know, we're going to wrap up with our annual meeting. I hope you can stick around. This past year, I served as your president and will continue as AAF Omaha officer as chairman of AAF Omaha Board of Directors. I would like to thank our 2019 and 2020 board for sharing their leadership time, talents, and expertise with AAF Omaha. We realized in mid-March, several days after AAF District 9 hosting the district's Advertising American judging, here in Omaha, we needed to act quickly, taking our events and programming virtual. Our executive team and board members were able to act fast, not missing a beat, with our March 19th enhanced educational breakfast, which turned into a webinar. Throughout the last quarter, our club year, we have reached out to our members and community, opening up many of our benefits to those in need during this time. Our board of directors has worked hard this year, all year, to bring creative events, conferences, new events along with webinars, virtual programming benefits to our members. Speaking of member benefits, we have 2 member perks to award this morning. Liz Stratman from Hillcrest Health Services and David Desfano, sorry about that, David, from 1123 Marketing Agency. Both won $5 Godfather gift cards thanks to our members' perks partners at Godfather's Pizza. Liz and David, your gift certificates will be mailed to you. I'm proud to work with AAF Omaha team this year. Annually, AAF Omaha enters the AAF National Club Achievement Competition. All 200 clubs and federations affiliated with AAF across the country in good standing to compete within their membership division in any or all of the 5 categories. This year, it did change to just 5 categories. Thanks to the full board and our membership, we're proudly enter all 5 categories. Congratulations to our members. We took 2nd place in public service category in AAF Division 3. And 3rd place in club operations category in Division 3. Thank you to everyone who helped with those. Thank you, our membership team, for their continued efforts throughout the year. including bringing more value to members, successfully hosting Ad Connects and our industry favorite holiday party in December, raising funds for AAFO Omaha and our public service partner, the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha. Our membership team was led by board members Bob Mancusa and Paula Stinson. Thank you to our communications team, led this year by Cody Felber and Tyler Cantina, for connecting with our members throughout AAF Omaha social media channels and our monthly newsletter, Ad News. The communication team has kept our members informed of events, projects, and member news throughout the year. We successfully hosted American Advertising Awards, Nebraska this year in Omaha, and thank leaders David Moore and Kerrigan Flynn for our successful American Advertising Award seasons. David and Kerrigan's team looked to create ways to incorporate new activities throughout the competition this year and gave awards night celebration a new format at the Schooler Grain Building. We honored our gold and silver Addy winners and our silver medal winner, Penny Hatchell, during the February event. Congratulations to all Addy winners on the local and district level. Mike Galoon and Rob Coleman are commended for leading AAF Omaha's community outreach program. Their team members engaged with students throughout the metro area this year, visiting junior high classrooms, college classrooms, university ad club meetings on several campuses, and we provided over 8,500 in scholarships. New this spring and early summer, we created a mentor program matching all 8 scholarship winners with Omaha professionals to engage by phone or virtually with meaningful conversations about our profession. We also set up online portfolio reviews with students and matched several more mentors and mentees activities we opened to all student members. Meet the Pros 2020, You Don't Have to Go Far to Get Far was orchestrated under the direction of board members Jenna Baird and Kevin Olive in February. AF Omaha hosted more than 150 passionate and ambitious area college students, giving them a chance to meet and connect with some of the best advertising and marketing professionals in the business. This annual AAF Omaha student event helps bridge the gap between where you are now and where you dreamed about going. We offer more than a conference, we offer a start for a career for many. Sean Heisler and Allie Carlson lead the Federation's fundraising efforts throughout 2019 and 2020. They added a new event to their line of hosting arts and crafts in September. Boom Roaster took a twist this year, poking fun at Mr. Nice Guy Mike Compton, and we were our Ad Pro and Ad Rookie of the Year, Laura Spalding and Jenna Baird during the roast. January brought in nasty weather, however, during a rescheduled date with another January snow event, we were able to successfully host our AAF Omaha Bolorama and a nearly sellout group of teams. Professional development was led by Jenny Anderson and Heather Zesko. They planned successfully professional development programs throughout the year. Ad Bites programming over the lunch hour and learning our professional development after work. They were able to offer unique opportunities to help our members grow and develop skills while hearing from thought leaders throughout our region. The Public Service Committee, led by Chris LaCroix and Jenny Alabam, worked with the team at the Greater Omaha League of Women Voters on a handful of the assets. The Public Service Committee worked on event banners, brochures, extensive social media strategy, and training, all of which helped the league carry out their mission of encouraging and informing active participation within government. Thank you, Chris and Jenny, along with your team. We thank Cassie Warren for leading our legislative issues team. In addition to monthly communication, we strive to position AAF as a prominent resource for the advertising community and provide resources so they can advocate to lawmakers the issues and needs surrounding our industry. During the second session of the 106th Nebraska Legislature, 2 bills impacted the ad community were introduced to the Nebraska Revenue Committee. LB 946 and LB 989 would have taxed digital advertising and tax services, potentially including advertising services as well. We mobilized our member base and reached out with a letter writing campaign. Throughout an engaging new free event, we also offered educational webinar on South Dakota versus Wayfair. We continue to be a resource to our members and our members, professional development and non-members about governmental issues affecting the advertising industry throughout monitoring state and national legislation. Lastly, our executive team of officers worked tirelessly to oversee all areas of the club. Thank you, Lisa Healy, Ann Woodford, and Daryl Anderson for guiding our board members and federation throughout the year. These club leaders, your executive officers, as well as your executive director, Terry Hamburger, helped our already focused board of directors stay on task throughout the year, achieving goals and accomplishments. They kept an active eye on the overall operations of the club throughout the year. They continued to look at the long-range planning of the organization. Special thanks to Lisa Healy as she leads the board this year and after serving on every committee during AAF Omaha's tenure. And last but not least, we'd like to thank our many sponsors for allowing AAF Omaha to do the work we love in our community. I was honored to work with the 2019-20 Board of Directors and look forward to the upcoming year. Ballots have been coming in this past 2 weeks for the election of your 2020-21 Board of Directors. With the election closed this morning at 8:30 a.m., I hand over the gavel to Daryl Anderson from Clark Creative Group, your 2020-2021 President. You're still on mute, Daryl.
Thanks, Dave. Dave, thank you for your years of service to AdFed. I've had the pleasure of chairing with David for several years, as well as serving on the executive team the past few years with David. His service to AdFed and his ingenuity and dedication for leading us as president is something to be appreciated and applauded. We've got a small gift for you, Dave, and Terry's going to be dropping that off for you a little bit later this week. As your president, I'm happy to welcome back our returning board members and welcome our new joining chairs. The enthusiasm and innovation I've encountered so far from this 2021 board ensures AAF Omaha will continue to be a strong and an adaptable force in our community. Should be really excited. I hope everybody is. I'm going to share a few goals and objectives that we've established for 2021 with our new board. Our membership team, they developed a strong committee that's in place. They're working diligently to maintain and also grow our membership this year, especially through these changing times. Another major step is to more broadly communicate what benefits come along with being a part of the national organization and what benefits are available to you as a local member. A lot of times we just focus on our local benefits. Hold on one second. We've charged each of our board members to grow their communities. We're hoping for increased perspectives, not only to increase our benefits, but to make us a stronger club in the region. So if you're interested, we have plenty of committees to get involved with this year, and we ask you to reach out and volunteer and get involved with AAFO. We plan to continue to provide virtual events to our members through the year, both developmental and a little bit of fun. In late September, early October, we're happy to announce membership will be hosting an outdoor Ad Connect, observing social distancing recommendations and following those guidelines. In late fall and early winter, as long as CDC guidelines allow, we hope to be gradually getting back to in-person events for AdFed Omaha, programming events, as well as special events and fundraising. You're going to be seeing more from us on social media channels. So if you're not already following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, please take a minute to connect with AdFed Omaha on those channels. Our community outreach program is continuing to grow and get stronger with our student programming, our diversity and inclusion initiatives. And with that, AAF Omaha is going to continue to work to foster the next generation of advertising professionals throughout Omaha and the Nebraska region. AAF Omaha will also continue to highlight and recognize diversity through AAF National and AAF Omaha programs, events, and communications. We're happy to announce that partnering with Bozell, we've started the Advance Fund, benefiting local nonprofits that provide services and programs that work to increase diversity among creatives. marketers, and developers with the Omaha metropolitan area. Communications to agency leaders have gone out. We're excited to announce that we already have a number of local supporters in this early effort. Donations from Advance are going to go to 75 North Code Camp, Noise, Culture House, and IB Black Girl. Go to AAFomaha, aafomaha.org/advance-Omaha to see how your organization can donate and participate. Now it's my pleasure to introduce you to the new board of directors for 2021. I myself, Daryl Anderson with Clark Creative Group as your president. Ann Woodford, maybe people can go off mute and say hi as I introduce you. Ann Woodford with Ronald McDonald House is my first vice president and treasurer.
Good morning. I'm super excited for the next year.
Jenna Baird with Bozell is joining our executive team as second vice president.
Hi, everybody. Looking forward to another great year and to work alongside the oncoming new board members and ones that are staying on.
As you know, David Lemp with Centro is going to continue on as our Omaha chairman of the board.
Hello again.
Introducing our committee members, returning longtime AdFed member is Paula Stinson. Joining her as a new committee chair, who is bringing great insight, is Alec Ray from Frost Media Group. Our returning communications co-chair, Coldy Felber from Woodman Life, is being joined by Jessica Schmitz from LRS Healthcare. For the American Advertising Awards, David Moore will be returning to lead that initiative, and happy to have Laura Schuster from Bailey Lauerman joining David on the awards committee. For community outreach and diversity, returning is Rod Coleman from Bozell, and he is being joined by Suzanne Klolinski from RCG Advertising and Media. For the Meet the Pros, Kevin Olive from Verizon Media is returning to lead that event and is being joined by Marley Cowdery from Bailey Lauerman. For special events, we have two new chairs that are joining us. One, a returning member, Jim Dietering from Lamar Outdoor Advertising, and Jessica Tieford from Clark Creative Group will be co-chairing special events this year. Looking forward to seeing what we're going to do in these changing times. Public service, we have returning Chris LaCroix as a chair, and joining him is Lauren Rock from RCG Advertising and Media. Professional development, joining us this year as two new chairs who are already starting off strongly and working to develop a full calendar of developmental events and panels for the upcoming year is Jenny Allenbaum with Anderson Partners and Aaron Eckerman from Fold Branding. And legislative issues, returning with us is Cassie Warren from KETV and returning board member Bob Mancuso from Mid-America Expositions. Lisa Conklin is going to continue to serve on the AAF 9 District 9 leadership team as the District 9 leader in charge of overseeing the District National Student Advertising Competition. So welcome to 2021. Plan to join us for upcoming events. Visit our website, aafomaha.org, often and follow us on social media for events and programming announcements. And I look forward to seeing everyone at our next virtual gathering and hopefully soon at an in-person event at Ad Connect this fall. Once again, welcome to my 2021 board. And I hope our members look for a beneficial 2021 year coming from AAFO. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I think that